I died, choking on my own blood. The metallic tang flooding my mouth as Alex's hands, those same hands that once slipped my wedding ring on with whispered promises, pressed a pillow over my face in our king-sized bed. The last thing I saw was his face, twisted not in rage but in cold calculation, like he was signing off on a merger that would bankrupt me. "It's for the company."
Nora.
For us, he'd lied. Even then. And then, nothing except the void, a black expanse that stretched until it snapped back like a rubber band, hurling me into the past. My eyes flew open to the familiar hum of my alarm clock, the one with the sleek digital face that projected the time onto the ceiling, 6:45 a.m., 3 months before that fatal night. I was 35 again, my body lithe and unscarred, tangled in Egyptian cotton sheets that smelled of lavender and betrayal. Alex snored softly beside me, his arm draped possessively over my waist. Oblivious to the storm, I'd just clawed my way back from hell to unleash. This wasn't a dream, the weight of 2 lifetimes pressed on my chest, heavier than any boardroom pitch I'd ever nailed. I was Nora Hale, CEO of Hale Dynamics, the tech darling of Silicon Alley, and I'd been murdered for a secret that would unravel everything. The first breath I took was deliberate, sharp, like testing the air after a gas leak. I slipped from under Alex's arm, my bare feet hitting the cool hardwood of our Tribeca loft. The city outside our floor-to-ceiling windows was waking up, horns blaring on the streets below, the Hudson River glinting like a knife under the early sun. In my previous life, this view had been my sanctuary, a reminder of how far I'd climbed from that cramped Queens apartment where I'd coded my first app on a borrowed laptop.
Now?
It was a cage, gilded and waiting to snap shut. I padded to the kitchen, the marble island cold under my palms as I poured coffee from the machine that cost more than most people's rent. My hands shook, not from fear, but from the rage simmering just below the surface, hot and unquenchable. By the time Alex stirred, I had my game face on, the sharp bob haircut framing my face like armor, the silk blouse that hugged my frame just enough to command a room. He shuffled in, rubbing sleep from his eyes, that boyish grin plastered on like it was his full-time job. Morning. Gorgeous. Big day at the office. He leaned in for a kiss, his lips brushing my cheek with the casual intimacy of 8 years married. I forced a smile, my stomach twisting as flashes hit me, him whispering to his mistress in hotel suites, funneling company funds into offshore accounts to build his escape hatch. In my old life, I discovered it too late, after he'd charmed the board into thinking I was the unstable one, the burnout CEO cracking under pressure.
Yeah.
The usual conquests, I replied, my voice light, laced with that dry New York sarcasm we'd always traded like currency. He laughed, pouring his own cup, oblivious to the predator now sharing his counter space. As he scrolled his phone, probably checking crypto dips or whatever bro-finance bullshit occupied him, I remembered the pivot point. It was today, 3 months before the end, the quarterly board meeting where I'd announced the merger with Vertex Labs, a deal that would catapult Hale Dynamics into the billion-dollar league. Alex, my CFO and devoted husband, had been the architect, but in truth, he'd been siphoning funds to Vertex's shady CEO, his old frat brother Marcus, for months. A secret bank account in the Caymans, fat with embezzled millions, his ticket out with the blonde paralegal he'd been banging since our 5th anniversary. I watched him now, sipping his coffee, humming some indie track from his Spotify playlist, and the fury coiled tighter. How many times had I ignored the late nights, the client dinners that left lipstick on his collar? I'd built this empire on grit and code, turning a solo startup into a powerhouse of AI-driven logistics software, while he played the supportive spouse, charming investors with his Ivy League polish. Yale. Class of '09. The golden boy who'd married up. But I'd loved him once, fiercely, stupidly, pouring my heart into us even as the company consumed me. That love had blinded me to the rot at our core. As we rode the elevator down to the garage, his hand on the small of my back felt like a brand. "Love you, Nor," he murmured, and I echoed it back. The words ash on my tongue. The town car waited curbside, our driver nodding as we slid in. Traffic crawled up the West Side Highway, the skyline a jagged promise of power. I stared out at the commuters in their yellow cabs, wondering how many carried their own ticking bombs. My phone buzzed, a text from my assistant. "Lena, boardroom prepped. Vertex docs ready."
Perfect.
In 3 hours, I'd greenlight the merger that would seal my doom if I let it. But this time?
No.
The Hale Dynamics headquarters loomed in Midtown, a glass monolith etched with our logo, a stylized helix of data streams. I strode through the lobby like I owned it, which I did, heels clicking on polished granite. Employees nodded, smiles tight with that mix of awe and envy reserved for the woman who'd turned down Silicon Valley for the grit of Gotham. My office on the 42nd floor overlooked Bryant Park, the leaves turning early autumn gold. I dropped my bag, fired up my triple monitors, and dove in. First things first, the backdoor I'd coded into our financials years ago. A paranoid safeguard against hackers. No one knew about it. Not even Alex. My fingers flew over the keys, pulling ledgers, tracing transactions. There it was, buried under layers of shell companies. Apex Ventures LLC. Transfers starting 6 months ago. $2.3 million so far. Funneled through a Cayman trust. Alex's signature on the approvals. Digital and deniable. My heart hammered, but not from shock. I'd relived the discovery, the confrontation, his gaslighting tears. It's a mistake, baby. Someone's framing me, lies that led to therapy sessions, to me popping Xanax like candy, to the board whispering about my instability, until the pillow, the darkness. I leaned back, the leather chair creaking under me. Revenge wasn't a bonfire, it was a slow burn, surgical and silent. No screaming matches, no tabloid scandals that would tank the stock. I'd expose him, but on my terms, quiet, devastating, leaving him to choke on his own ambition. Step 1. Fortify the castle. I called Lena in. Her sharp bob and sharper would a bomb. Double-check the Vertex due diligence. I want eyes on every penny. She nodded. No questions, Lena was loyal. The kind of ride or die who'd followed me from the startup days. The board meeting kicked off at noon. A circus of suits and PowerPoints in the conference room with its panoramic views. Alex sat to my right, all polished charm, walking them through the merger synergies. "This catapults us to market leader," he said, his baritone smooth as bourbon. The board, mostly silver-haired VCs who'd bet big on me, nodded, eyes gleaming at the projected valuations. I watched their faces. The subtle deference to Alex, the man who'd stabilized the finances. Bastard had them eating from his hand. When it was my turn, I stood, remote in hand, flipping to the final slide. "Gentlemen and Elena, I added with a nod to our one female director. This isn't just a merger. It's our legacy. Pauses for effect. Eye contact that pinned them. Then, casual as a weather report. But before we sign, I've uncovered some irregularities in our outflows. Nothing major, but enough to warrant a full audit. Murmurs rippled. Alex's smile faltered for a split second, his hand tightening on his pen. Irregularities, he echoed, voice even. I met his gaze, cool as the river below. Routine, darling. Can't be too careful with billions on the line. The room settled. Votes cast unanimously. Merger on track, but with my invisible tripwire now set. As we filed out, Alex pulled me aside in the hallway. His cologne, that crisp vetiver scent, cloying. What's this audit bullshit? Nora? You're spooking them. His eyes searched mine, probing for cracks. I tilted my head, feigning innocence. Just covering our asses. Alex. You know how paranoid I get. He bought it.
For now.
Pulling me into a hug that felt like chains. You're the boss, he murmured into my hair. If only he knew. That night, back in the loft, I poured wine, a crisp Sauvignon Blanc from our Napa trip, the one where he'd proposed under the stars.
Lies.
All of it. We ate takeout Thai on the couch, some Netflix dramedy flickering ignored. His phone buzzed. He silenced it with a glance. Work, he said. I smiled, swirling my glass. Tell Marcus I said hi. His fork paused midair. Just a beat too long.
Who?
Vertex Marcus. Old friend, right? I kept my tone light, watching the flicker in his eyes. He recovered, laughing it off.
Yeah.
Guy's a shark. We finished dinner. Made love on the couch, mechanical for him, I suspected. But for me, a reconnaissance mission. Mapping the tells, the way he gripped my hips too hard. The distant look when he came. Afterward, he dozed, arm heavy across me. I lay awake, plotting. The next week blurred into a frenzy of feigned normalcy. Mornings in the gym. Our trainer barking reps as Alex spotted me on the bench press, his encouragement laced with that subtle condescension. Push. Babe, you got this. Evenings at galas. Me in designer gowns, shaking hands with venture capitalists. Him networking like a pro. But under it all, I moved pieces. Hired a discreet PI firm out of Jersey, ex-feds with no love for Wall Street wolves. Fed them crumbs, Alex's travelogues. Email dumps I'd mirrored before he could scrub them. The first report landed Friday night. Encrypted PDF in my inbox as I sipped martinis at a rooftop bar in Soho. Lena texted, "Hot date?" I replied, with the devil. The file detailed the account, $4.1 million now. Wires to a Delaware shell tied to Marcus's wife, the blonde, Tara, who'd clerked for Alex's firm post-Yale. Photos attached, grainy shots of them at a Hamptons beach house, her head on his shoulder, his hand possessive on her thigh. My chest tightened, not with jealousy, that died with me, but with the cold clarity of confirmation. There was more, emails, coded lingo about the extraction plan. He wasn't just skimming, he was staging a coup. Leak evidence of my embezzlement. Force me out. Merge under his control with Marcus as silent partner. The pillow? Insurance. When I'd started sniffing too close. I closed the laptop. The city lights blurring through unshed tears. Not for him, but for the woman I'd been, trusting. All in. Building a life on sand. Saturday dawned gray. Rain lashing the windows. Alex was at golf, code for Terra's Pide Terra in the village. I used the time to dig deeper, cross-referencing with company VPN logs. Bingo. Access patterns to my private files. Timestamps matching his late nights. He was building a digital trail, planting malware to frame me. By Monday, the audit was in full swing. My hand-picked forensic accountant, a pitbull named Raj from Deloitte, tearing through the books. Alex cornered me in the executive lounge, coffee in hand, voice low. Nora, this is getting out of hand. The board's jittery. His eyes were hard, the charming mask slipping. I sipped my espresso, legs crossed in my swivel chair. Good. Jitters mean diligence. I leaned forward, voice dropping to a whisper. Unless there's something you want to come clean about? It was a bluff wrapped in truth. My first real jab. He blinked, then laughed too loud, too forced. Paranoid much? It's that imposter syndrome talking. CEO wife. The dig landed. A reminder of our inside joke turned weapon. He left, but not before I saw the sweat beading on his upper lip. That night, controversy brewed at home. We'd been invited to the Met Gala after-party, black tie, A-listers, the kind of schmooze that greased wheels. I chose a crimson gown, off-shoulder, clinging like second skin, diamonds at my throat that matched the fire in my gut. Alex in tux, looking every inch the power couple prop. But as we posed for paparazzi outside the Mark Hotel, his hand on my waist felt like a vice. Inside, champagne flowed, whispers of deals in corners. I worked the room, charming a senator on AI regs, while Alex huddled with Marcus, tall, slick, that predatory grin. I excused myself to the powder room, but detoured to the balcony, phone in hand. A quick text to Raj, accelerate. Pull apex threads. Then, the twist of fate, overhearing them through the French doors. Rain pattering on the terrace. She's onto something, Alex hissed. The audit's too close. Marcus chuckled. Low and oily. Then accelerate the leak. Frame her with the vertex kickbacks. Board'll eat it up. Burnout bitch stealing from her own shop. Alex hesitated. What about? The other thing? The insurance. Handle it clean. Like we planned. Pillows don't leave prints. My blood froze. The city roar fading to a dull throb. They laughed. Clinking glasses. Toasting my demise. I slipped away before they spotted me. Heart pounding like a war drum. In the limo home. Silence thick as fog. Alex tried small talk. Great night. Huh. But I stared out at the blur of lights. Mind racing. The revenge I'd planned was too slow. They were moving. Time for escalation. The next morning, I called an emergency board session. No notice. They assembled via video. Hangovers be damned. Faces pixelated on the big screen. We've got a breach, I announced. Sharing my screen. Redacted transfers. Timestamps. IP traces back to Alex's workstation. Gasps. Then chaos. He's family, Elena protested. Evidence, one VC demanded. I laid it out. Cold and irrefutable. The account, the emails. The Hamptons photos blurred for discretion but damning. He's been bleeding us dry for his side hustle. And plotting to pin it on me. The line went silent. Then erupted. By noon, Alex was suspended. Security escorting him from the building, his keycard revoked mid-stride. He called me from the lobby, voice breaking. Nora. What the fuck? This is insane. I picked up on speaker. Lena, witnessing. It's over.
Alex.
The board knows. Police en route for the fraud.
A beat.
I loved you. You love the Empire. I shot back. But empires fight back.
Click.
He showed up at the loft that night, soaked from the downpour, eyes wild. Let me explain. Tara was a mistake. Marcus pressured me.
Lies. Still.
I let him in,
Poured scotch.
watched him pace. Why? He begged. We had everything. You wanted more. Always did. I sipped mine, calm as a shark.
Then.
The hook. Sign the confession. And I'll keep it quiet. No charges. Just divorce and exile. His face crumpled relief.
Despair?
He scrawled it out,
Trembling.
but as he handed it over, his phone buzzed.
Tara.
He glanced, then smashed it against the wall. It's done. For us. Pathetic. I nodded, guiding him to the door.
Out.
He left, tail between legs, the rain swallowing his footsteps. Weeks blurred, lawyers divvied assets. The merger salvaged under my sole control. Stock soaring on the internal purge narrative. The press ate it up. CEO, wife's iron fist crushes embezzlement plot. I played the wounded warrior. Interviews laced with steel. Lena became COO. Raj got a bonus. Life normalized. Sharper. Freer. Then the twist. 6 months post-mortem, figuratively. A package arrived. Manila envelope. No return.
Inside.
A USB and note. You think it ends with him?
Watch.
The drive held videos, not Alex.
But me.
Doctored clips. Deep fakes of me signing off on the transfers. Laughing with Marcus in simulated trysts. The note, Marcus. Your move. The bastard hadn't quit. He'd pivoted. Using Alex as pawn. My old life flashed. Had Marcus been the architect all along? Seducing Alex into the scheme to topple me? Rage reignited. Pure now. No quiet revenge. This was war. I hired hackers, ethical, expensive, from a dark web contact Raj vouched for. Traced Marcus's empire. Vertex was a front for Russian oligarch money laundering. AI tech as cover. The deepfakes? Amateur hour compared to their ops. I leaked it all anonymously to the SEC. FBI tip line hot with details. Raids hit dawn the next day. Headlines screaming, tech mogul's money laundering ring busted. Marcus called from custody. Voice tinny through the jail line. You bitch. Alex was nothing, collateral. I laughed. First real one in lifetimes. And you? You're dust. He hung up. Tara vanished. Probably to some non-extradition paradise. Alex? Crawling back. Emails begging forgiveness. Offering testimony against Marcus for leniency.
I forwarded them to the DA.
A year on, Hail Dynamics hit IPO. Me at the bell. Confetti raining on the NYSE floor. The loft sold. I bought a penthouse in Chelsea. Views of the Empire State pulsing like a heartbeat. Dates now, careful. Thrilling, with a gallery owner who quoted poetry over dim sum. No rings. No rushes. But some nights, staring at the skyline, I feel the echo, that pillow's weight, the void's pull. Revenge wasn't catharsis, it was rebirth. I died once, betrayed by the man I built with. Now, I'm Nora Hale, unchained, unbreakable. And if shadows stir again, they'll meet the storm I became. The penthouse air was thick with the scent of rain-soaked concrete and possibility. But as I stood on the balcony that first night after closing escrow, the skyline mocked me with its indifference. A year since the unraveling. 6 months since Marcus's empire crumbled in a blaze of indictments. And yet the ghosts lingered, not Alex's, but mine. The Nora who'd trusted too fiercely, coded her heart into lines of loyalty that crashed like bad code. I'd won, hadn't I? Stock tripled. Suitors circled like sharks scenting chum. Lena toasting me at every milestone with that wicked grin, to the queen who burned the throne. But victory tasted like ash. Because in the quiet hours, I wondered if I'd traded one cage for another. Built walls so high even I couldn't scale them. It started small, innocuous, a coffee run turning into reconnaissance. The gallery guy, Ethan, with his tousled hair and earnest eyes, had texted, "MoMA exhibit tonight? Your take on Basquiat could rewrite my world." Charming, uncalculated, the opposite of Alex's scripted allure. I said yes, slipped into a little black dress that hugged without screaming, heels that clicked like countdowns. The exhibit thrummed with the elite, curators in tweed, tech bros pretending at culture, and Ethan met me at the entrance, his hand brushing mine in a way that sparked without scorching. We wandered the canvases, Basquiat's jagged crown screaming rebellion, and for a moment, I let myself unravel. He painted what he couldn't say, Ethan murmured, close enough that his breath warmed my ear. The rage, the love, all tangled. I nodded, throat tight. And the betrayal? That's the crown of thorns. He paused, eyes searching. Sounds personal. It was too much, but I deflected with a laugh, steering us to the bar for overpriced gin. 2 drinks in. The crowd parted like the Red Sea. And there she was, Tara. Blonde waves cascading, red lips curved in that predatory pout, arm linked with a silver fox in a bespoke suit, some hedge fund ghoul. No doubt her rebound parachute. Our eyes locked across the room, a current snapping taut. She sauntered over, Ethan oblivious, extending a manicured hand. Nora Hale. The spider who ate her mate. Charmed. Ethan frowned, but I shook it, grip firm.
Tara.
Still slithering. Her laugh tinkled, glass in hand.
Oh.
Honey, I fly now. Alex sends his regards. He's finding himself in Bali. Yoga and ayahuasca. Says you gutted him. The silver fox chuckled, but I held her gaze. Voice low. Tell him the gutting was mutual. And if Marcus's messages from Supermax, I'm all ears. Her smile faltered. Just a crack. Marcus? That was business. You? Personal. She leaned in. Perfume cloying, Chanel no. 5. The scent of boardroom seductions. You think you won? He was the appetizer. The real game's just starting. Then she melted back into the crowd, leaving a chill in her wake. Ethan touched my arm. Ex-drama. I forced a shrug. Ancient history. But it wasn't. That night, back in the penthouse, I pored over old files, not the forensic ones, but personal, wedding photos. That Napa proposal video where Alex's eyes shone with what I'd sworn was love. Lies. All pixels and pretense. Sleep evaded. So I worked tweaking algorithms for the next product launch. Hale's AI ethics suite, ironic. Given my own moral gray zones. The controversy hit midweek. A tabloid grenade lobbed from the shadows. New York Post splash. CEO siren or serial slayer. Nora Hale's body count in boardroom and bedroom. Grainy photos. Me at the gala. Tara's glare captured mid-frame. Alex's mugshot from the fraud bust. Looking every bit the fallen frat boy. The article spun it vicious. Anonymous sources claiming I'd driven Alex to embezzlement with my tyrannical ways. Whispers of an affair with Lena, God. The homophobia bait. Even dredging up a college lawsuit from my startup days. Some in turn alleging harassment I'd settled quietly to kill buzz. My phone exploded. Bored emails laced with concern. Ethan's hesitant, you okay? Lena's furious voicemail. Those hacks are mine to sue. I called an all hands. Face calm on the video feed. Voice steal. This is noise. We build truth in code. Not headlines. Double down on the launch. Let results speak. Internally, though, the tension coiled. Marcus's note echoed. Your move. Was this him? Pulling strings from a cell? Or Tara? Venomous and vengeful? I hired a crisis firm. Sharp-dressed sharks from DC. Experts in digital smears. Their brief. Trace the leak. While they dug, I played offense. Leaked my own counternarrative to Forbes. Op-ed on women in tech-facing weaponized misogyny. Stats on false accusations. My journey from betrayal to empowerment. It trended. Nora Strong hashtags blooming like digital armor. Ethan showed up at my door with takeout and bad puns. Staying till dawn, not for sex, but stories. His fingers tracing my knuckles as I spilled the sanitized version. You don't strike me as the vengeful type, he said, Dawn painting his face gold. I arched a brow. Everyone's vengeful when pushed far enough. The crisis team's report landed Friday. IP trail led to a burner VPN in Prague. But the content? Sourced from an insider, Hale employee, low-level IT drone named Kyle, who'd been pink-slipped in the post-Alex purge. Bribed. Probably. I confronted him in a coffee shop off Union Square. Rain drumming the awning like impatient fingers. Kid was twitchy. 20-something with a man bun and regret in his eyes. She offered $50K, he stammered. Tara's name dropping like a guillotine. Said it was payback for the layoffs. I slid a check across, double. For silence and a reference. Walk away clean.
Kyle.
Or join Marcus in stripes. He bolted. And I texted the team. Burner neutralized. Escalate surveillance on T. Surveillance yielded gold. Tara lunching with a post editor. Whispers of more exclusives. But the real bomb? Photos of her meeting a fixer. Ex-CIA type. The kind who handled discreet relocations for oligarchs. Marcus's Russian ties weren't severed. They ran through her. A widow's web of laundered cash funneled back into U.S. startups as angel investments. Vertex was the tip. She was the iceberg. The decision came that night. Wine glass in hand. City lights winking conspiratorially. Quiet revenge had worked on Alex, scalpel to the ego. But this? It demanded controversy. A public gut punch that would scorch without consuming me. I called in favors. A DOJ contact from the Marcus raid. Hungry for headlines. Fed them the trail, emails, wire transfers, Tara's alias shell companies. Package it as whistleblower, I instructed. No direct link to me. It dropped Monday. Wall Street Journal front page. Heiress to fallen tech empire linked to international money laundering. Tara's face splashed worldwide. her Hamptons chateau raided by dawn. She lawyered up, but the net tightened, extradition requests stacking like indictments. Alex surfaced in the chaos, a Vanity Fair profile painting him as the redeemed victim. I was blind to her darkness, he whined from some ashram in Ubud. The comments sections lit up. Armchair therapists dissecting my narcissism. Ethan read it aloud over brunch in his Brooklyn brownstone. Voice laced with amusement. Should I be worried? Am I next on the hit list? I stole a bite of his avocado toast. Only if you hide crypto in Bali. He kissed me then, slow and sure. And for the first time, the ghosts receded. But tension simmered. Tara's team countersued, alleging defamation, dragging my name through mudslinging depositions. The board wavered. Whispers of distraction. Lena and I plotted in war rooms. Her whiteboard scrawled with timelines, my laptop humming with counterstrats. The high-stakes play came at TechCrunch Disrupt, San Francisco's mecca of disruption. I keynote on ethical AI. The crowd a sea of hoodies and hope. Backstage. Nerves jangled, not from stage fright, but the anonymous tip I'd planted. Feds waiting in the green room post-talk. Tara's fixer in cuffs for obstruction. As I rapped, thunderous applause. My phone vibrated. Bait taken. She's cornered. Post-panel Q&A turned ambush. A journalist from some alt-right rag lobbed the grenade. MS.
Hail.
Sources say your husband's downfall was orchestrated. Revenge porn for a scorned wife. Care to comment on the bodies piling up? The room hushed. Cameras flashing like paparazzi strobes. Ethan, in the front row,
Tensed.
I stepped to the mic. Smile sharp as shattered glass. Revenge? Darling, that's for amateurs. I build futures. Ones where women don't apologize for winning. Laughter rippled. Then I pivoted. But if we're talking bodies, let's discuss the oligarch cash flooding our industry. I have documents. I held up a flash drive, the kill shot, declassified trails leading to Tara's doorstep. Chaos erupted. Shouts. Security swarming the journalist, Tara Plant. Later confirmed. I exited stage left to cheers. Feds nodding approval. By flight home, CNN looped it. Hale exposes laundering web mid-keynote. Tara folded that week. Plea deal for lesser counts. Spilling on Marcus's network. Alex? Radio silence. His redemption arc DOA. The lawsuits crumbled. My op-ed morphed into a TED Talk invite. But the twist lingered in quiet moments, a late-night call from Ethan. Voice hesitant. Found this in my gallery's donor list. Small donation from Apex Ventures. Years back. My blood chilled. Had Marcus's tendrils touched him? Or was it coincidence? Paranoia reborn? I drove to Brooklyn at midnight. Rain-slicked streets mirroring my doubt. He opened the door in boxers and concern.
Pulling me in.
Talk. We did, all night. Truths tumbling like dominoes. His donation? A misguided favor to a mutual contact. Pre-scandal. Innocent. But it cracked something. My walls. His patience. I want in.
Nora.
Not as arm candy, but partner. The real shit. Dawn found us tangled. Not in sheets but strategy, him sketching exhibit ideas on AI art, me pitching collabs with Hale. No proposals. No pillows of deceit. Just two survivors. Building on bedrock. The final confrontation came unbidden. Alex. Emaciated and earnest. Waiting in my lobby with wilted peonies. I need to see you. Closure. against better judgment. I let him up. The penthouse felt too vast. His presence a shrinking void. "What now?" I asked, arms crossed. He collapsed into a chair, words spilling. Marcus groomed me from Yale. Tara was his lure.
You.
You were the prize. The company he couldn't buy outright. Tears tracked his cheeks. The pillow, I didn't. He made me think it was mercy or some fucked up pact. Lies? Truth? My gut twisted. The old wound reopening. Why tell me now? Redemption. Or hell?
Spite.
But you're free.
Nor.
I never was. Security hauled him out, but his words echoed. Therapy followed, not Xanax-fueled sessions,
But raw.
with a shrink who didn't flinch at twice-died CEOs. Turns out, the buy kitsch wasn't his, it was mine. Forgiving the unforgivable.
Kết thúc có hậu that inside way, Ipeanivasa gala.
Me in sapphire silk. Ethan at my side, not arm, but equal. Lena toasted, to quiet storms and loud winds. The skyline glittered. No mocks, just promise. I died betrayed. Reborn vengeful.
Now?
I lived. Controversial and whole. The American dream rewritten in code and courage. No more ghosts, just the woman who'd stare down the void and coded her way out. The gala's afterglow faded into a hangover of headlines and handshakes, but as I navigated the throng, venture vultures circling with pitch decks disguised as compliments, a shadow detached from the bar. Not Alex's gaunt specter, but something sharper, Elena Voss. Our board's lone female voice. Her silver chignon impeccable, eyes like polished obsidian. She'd been quiet since the purge, voting my plays with clipped efficiency.
But tonight.
Her flute of Veuve clinked mine with intent.
Nora.
Darling. A word. We slipped to a balcony alcove. The autumn chill nipping at bare shoulders. Manhattan's hum a distant roar. You've danced on graves, she said. No preamble. Voice low and laced with that old money drawl, Charleston roots. I recalled. Old tobacco fortune laundered into VCs. Alex's, Marcus's, Tara's. Admirable, but sloppy. Loose ends fray. My pulse quickened, but I held her gaze. Gin steady in my hand. Sloppy? SEC closed the books. Tara's singing for reduced time. She smiled. Thin as a scalpel.
Oh.
The feds love their bows. But real power? It's in the whispers. The offshore echoes you missed. She slid a slim folder across the wrought iron table, cream stock, embossed with a crest I didn't recognize. Inside, bank statements. Not Cayman's this time, but Zurich. Transfers from Hale Dynamics. Pre-merger. Routed through a charity Elena chaired, Voss Foundation for Tech Equity.
Milio.
Funneled to grants that looped back to Vertex via Shell NGOs. Her signature on every approval. You. I breathed. The pieces slamming home. Not just enabler, architect. Elena, the ally who'd nodded through my pitches, subtly steering funds during Alex's early schemes. Why? She shrugged, elegant as dismissing a sommelier. Darling, you were brilliant, but naive. Women like us? We don't climb, we consume. Alex was the knife, I the hand. Marcus? Disposable muscle. Her eyes gleamed. You exposed the pawns.
Now.
Join or be joined. The offer hung. Toxic honey. Partnership in the shadows. Hale as front for her web. Refuse? The folder's duplicates would surface, framing me as the mastermind. Unstable CEO's final scam. Controversy on steroids. Board coup inevitable. Ethan's face flashed, his quiet support. The vulnerability I'd just cracked open. Lose it all. And I'd drag him into the pyre. I closed the folder. Mind whirring like overclocked servers. Give me 24 hours. Tick-tock. Dora. She air-kissed my cheeks, vanishing into the crowd like smoke. Back in the penthouse. Ethan waited. Tie loosened. Concern etching lines around his eyes. You look like you saw a ghost or 10. Worse. The devil in pearls. I poured scotch.
Neat.
And spilled the folder. Elena's empire. The checkmate. He paced. Artist's hands gesturing wildly. This is insane. Call the cops. The press. Burn it public. Public? That's her game. Smear war. My name mud forever. I sank onto the couch. Head in hands. I built Hale clean. Can't let her taint it. He knelt. Fingers tilting my chin. Then don't. Outsmart her. Your code. Your rules hack the system. Dawn brewed coffee and clarity. Lena arrived at 7 a.m. Bleary but fierce. Whiteboard unrolled across my kitchen island. Bitch thinks she's checkmate? We're chess grandmasters. We mapped. Elena's foundation was the linchpin, tax shelter for dirty money. Audited lightly because of her donor clout. But buried in public records. Discrepancies. Grants to ghost entities. Overlaps with known oligarch fronts from Marcus's bust. Deep dive, I ordered. Raj looped in remotely. His forensic magic pulling strings. By noon, we had it, a daisy chain of NGOs. Elena's name on boards. Wires tracing to Putin-adjacent figures sanctioned post-Ukraine. Not just laundering, influence peddling. AI tech sold under the table to regimes that weaponized it for surveillance states. The decision loomed. Controversial as a live wire. Expose her quietly. Through back channels. Preserve Hale's rep. Or go nuclear, press conference. Docs dumped. Torching bridges, but cauterizing threats. Ethan's vote. Quiet. You're not Alex. Don't become the monster. But quiet had limits. Elena texted at 3 p.m. My car. 5 p.m. Central Park West. I went alone. Town car idling curbside. Her Bentley purring up like a panther. Inside. Leather supple. Her perfume, jasmine and old secrets, thick. Decision? I handed her a USB. Feigned defeat. Your terms. But audit my books first, clean slate. She plugged it in. Scanning files. Dummy confessions. Forged transfers pinning residuals on me. Greed lit her eyes. Wise girl. As she drove off, I whispered to Lena via earpiece. Now. The hack deployed, my backdoor. Evolved. Mirroring her devices. Raj's team siphoned data. Emails to Kremlin cutouts. Blueprints for Hale's ethics AI twisted into spyware. Elena's fortress cracked wide. That night, controversy ignited on my terms. Anonymous drop to ProPublica. Tech philanthropist's dark web. How Voss Foundation funds global autocrats. Sourced impeccably. No Hale fingerprints. By morning, Elena's world imploded. IRS audits. Congressional subpoenas. Her foundation shuttered mid-gala. She called at 6 a.m. Voice a hiss. You traitorous cunt. This ends you. Ends? It's evolution. Elena. Women like you hoard, I innovate.
Click.
Her arrest hit at noon. Wire fraud. Sanctions violations. The works. The board? Relieved. Rallying behind me with equity bumps and standing ovations. But the tension peaked in fallout. Protesters outside Hale HQ. Signs screaming, "Tech for tyrants." Elena's smear. Amplified by bots. I faced them head-on. Presser on the steps. We build tools for freedom, not chains. Any complicity ends now. Transparency pledge. Open source audits. Ethics board with whistleblower seats. Stock dipped. Then surged. Authenticity, the new gold. Ethan and I celebrated quietly. Dim sum in Chinatown. Steam rising like exhaled breaths. Proud of you, he said, chopsticks clinking. Not the win, the how. The how is the twist. In Elena's seized files. A bombshell. Not just her schemes, but mine, the backdoor code. Logs of my revenge hacks. She'd known. Baited me into overreach. One leak. And I'd join her in cuffs. But buried deeper, her insurance policy. A dead man's switch email to the DA. Timed for post-arrest. Panic clawed. Had I overplayed? I rallied the team. 48-hour crunch. Trace the server. Neutralize. Raj's wunderkind in turn cracked it, Swiss vault. Passcode to her biometrics. We forged a shutdown. But close call. Sweat-slicked keys and Red Bulls till sunrise. It fired anyway. Partial. DA's inbox pinged with fragments. Enough for questions. Not charges. I lawyered up. Testimony polished. Defensive measures against active threats. Skeptical nods. But no indictment. The scare? A gift. Forcing evolution. Backdoor dismantled. Ethics hard-coded. Alex resurfaced in the melee. A 60 minutes mea culpa. Nora's the villain I deserved. Ratings gold. But irrelevant. Tara, from her plea bargain cell, penned a memoir outline smuggled out, betrayed by the boss babe, but her publisher ghosted post-scandal. The Chow trio crested at the shareholder meeting. Glass-walled auditorium buzzing with suits and skeptics. I took the stage. Projector humming. Not mergers, but mea culpas. I've made choices hard. Gray. That protected us. Today, we choose light. Q&A firestorm. Was the revenge worth the cost? One analyst jabbed. I paused. Spotlight's hot. Revenge? That's the past. This is redemption. Applause thundered. Uncertain, then fervent. Post-meeting. Ethan waited in the wings. Ring box in pocket, not proposal. He clarified. But promise. For the exhibits we'll curate. The code will break together. I laughed. Slipping it on, platinum band. Etched with a helix. No vows yet. Just alliance. But the real twist whispered in quiet. Elena's final letter from lockup. Penned in Mont Blanc ink. You won the board. The headlines. But power's patient. Dear. My daughter, interning at Hale next summer? Blood tells. Chilled. I pulled files. Yes. Young Voss. Fresh from Stanford. Resume gleaming. Saboteur or successor. I mentored her anyway, watched. Tested. Found not venom, but vacuum. A girl adrift in her mother's wake. Build better, I told her over coffee. Or burn it all. She chose build, co-opting into Lena's fold. That song tang eased into rhythm. Hale's AI arm partnering with Ethan's gallery for immersive exhibits, data sculptures that told stories of betrayal and rebirth. Protests faded, replaced by TED invites. Time covers, the unbreakable CEO. Yet in boardrooms, I felt the echo, pillows press, voids tug. Trunks wasn't magic, it was muscle memory, choices etched in scar tissue. I'd returned to avenge, but stayed to redefine. One night, Skyline Sentinel, Ethan beside me, I raised a glass. To quiet revolutions, he clinked. And the women who waged them. Winter clamped down on the city like a vice. Snowdrifts piling against the penthouse windows, muffling the world's clamor into a hush that amplified my doubts. Elena's daughter, Lila, had slotted into Hale like a puzzle piece, sharp mind, wary eyes, her mother's poise without the poison. I'd greenlit her internship on a gamble. Surveillance subtle, keycard logs, email filters, coffee chats that probed without pricking. She coded clean, asked questions that cut to ethics cores, and slowly, the knot in my gut loosened. "You're not her," I said one afternoon, over lukewarm vending machine lattes in the break room. Lila's laugh was brittle.
Genuine.
Thank God. Mom's legacy? A cage with a view. But legacies lingered, stubborn as frost. The final twist uncoiled in spring. Cherry blossoms dusting Madison Avenue like confetti from a half-remembered parade. I'd been dodging Alex's missives, postcards from Bali, emails laced with pseudo-spiritual drivel, but this came via courier, a battered journal, leather-bound, his scrawl filling pages yellowed with humidity. "For you,
Nor."
the truth I owed. Ethan urged the bin, fuel for the fire. But curiosity, that old betrayer, won. I read it poolside in the Hamptons, waves crashing like indictments. It wasn't confession, it was carnage. Alex detailing not just the schemes, but the seeds, Elena recruiting him freshman year, Tara as honey trap, Marcus the muscle. But the gut punch?
Me.
You were the anomaly. Nora. The startup kid who outshone us all. Elena saw threat first, push me to marry, infiltrate. The account? Her blueprint. My execution. The pillow. God. The pillow was mercy. Because by then, you'd uncovered too much. Not fraud, the deeper rot. Elena's ties to my family. Voss money built my dad's firm. Post-crash bailout with strings to Moscow. You digging Vertex? It would have toppled them all. Including me.
Pages blurred.
Tears hot, not grief, but fury at the puppeteering depth. I'd avenged the betrayal, but missed the dynasty. Alex not villain, but victim villain.
Chained to blood debts.
The journal ended with a plea. Burn this. Or use it. But no, I never stopped. A half sentence. Trailing into margin doodles, helices. Like our logo. Twisted into knots. I didn't burn it. Instead, courier back to him. Annotated. Truth's a start. Justice? Earn it. He testified weeks later. Remote from Indonesia. Voss family archives unlocked, cementing Elena's empire as treasonous. Lila, informed gently, chose severance Harvard Law, pro bono for whistleblowers. Cycle breaker, she texted. I replied, welcome to the club. The Chow Treo's echo faded into summer swelter. Hale's valuation cresting $5 billion on the ethics suite's rollout, now fortified with Voss protocols, blockchain audits transparent as glass. Controversy morphed to case study, Harvard B School dissecting Hale's revenge renaissance. I keynote there, facing tiered skepticism. Revenge isn't closure, I told the packed hall. Projector cycling journal scans redacted. It's excavation. Dig deep. Rebuild higher. Q&A veered personal. MS.
Hail.
Sources say your marriage was the catalyst. Was the quiet revenge worth the isolation? A blonde in the third row. Notebook poised. Tara's echo? I smiled. Ethan's ring glinting under lights. Isolation? That's the lie they sell. Revenge connects to self, to allies. Worth it? Every scar. Applause swelled. And in the green room, Ethan waited with falafel wraps and a grin. Nailed it. Spider-Woman. Learned from the best. We drove back to the city, top down on the Acura. Wind whipping secrets away. But tension's last gasp came unannounced. A black tie fundraiser for cyber rights. Met steps thronged with donors in couture and conscience. I wore emerald, bold, unapologetic, Ethan in velvet blazer. Arm linked like equal. Mingling mid-champagne. A figure emerged from the marble shadows. Alex.
Not gaunt now.
But grounded, linen suit. Salt in his hair. Eyes clear of haze. Nora. No plea. Just presence. Security hovered, but I waved them off. Ethan tensed. Hand possessive on mine. Alex. Neutral. Testing. He nodded to Ethan. Heard you're curating with her. Good man. Then, to me, the journal, thank you.
Testified last week.
Elena's network?
Gutted.
My family's clean. Finally. I searched his face. No mask. Just man. Hollowed and honest. And you, Temple and Ubud. Teaching code to street kids. Redemption's daily. Not destination.
A pause. Heavy.
Forgive?
No.
Understand? Maybe. Ethan squeezed my hand. I exhaled. Understanding's enough. Go build.
He did.
Vanishing into the night. A ghost exorcised. The gala blurred into triumph. Pledges poured in. Headlines hailed. Hale's humanitarian pivot. Back home. Sheets tangled with Ethan. Dawn's light filtering soft. Happy, he murmured. Fingers tracing my helix tattoo, inked post Elena.
A vow to self.
Blissfully controversial. Laughter bubbled.
Free.
The by kitsch I'd feared. Endless cycle. Isolation's maw. Dissolved into co-how.
Hard one.
I died own. Fan BOI by the man who'd worn my love like a Trojan horse. Trumson hurled me back. Armed with memory's blade. Revenge? It started quiet. Surgical, exposing accounts. Crumbling kings. But it bloomed into something American dream defiant. Messy. Mu MO dismantled. Decisions that sparked debates in diners and dorms.
Now.
At 37. CEO unchained. Wife not to empire but equal. I code not just software, but second chances. The skyline from our shared Chelsea perch, his canvases mingling with my monitors, pulses with possibility. No pillows loom, only horizons. And if shadows stir, I'll meet them with a storm I forged, dramatic, disputed, unyieldingly alive. In the end, the quiet revenge wasn't silence, it was symphony, crescendoing to a life reclaimed. Husband's secrets exposed. Yes, but mine? Unearthed. Empowered. Shocked him completely? Understatement. I shocked myself back to breath.